6 minutes to ask questions. We are starting with MP Kelly for the first 6 minutes, please.
Thanks. To the Trucking Association, so how much does the carbon tax cost your industry?
Thank you for the question. So our estimates are, at least in the 2024 year, it will add an additional $2 billion to the cost of trucking services. That's approximately, if I was to break it down for you on a per truck basis, that's adding an additional $15,000 to $20,000 per year per truck in fuel costs.
Okay, so a per 15 to 20,000 per truck. So that's the projection for this year in 2024.
Correct.
Okay, and the current government, the government currently plans to increase this in the years to come. What will that? Go ahead.
Sorry, that is correct. So the tax, the per liter charge on for the fuel or for the carbon tax increases. I'm not exactly sure on the schedule, but I think by 2030 those costs will increase to approximately $4 billion annually.
So
it has an escalator in it, and we projected that out to 2030.
Okay, and so what does this do to investment in your industry?
I'm not sure what it does to an investment in the industry, other than it makes from a competitive standpoint or a supply chain, it's grossly inflating the cost of the supply chain.
Can your customers afford to just pay more for your services?
So in our world, typically those costs are passed along. Passed along to our customers, which in turn are passed along to Canadians, and in turn make our economy less productive and less competitive. So, in some instances, those costs can be passed along with the increasing use of the spot market, what we call the spot market versus contract rates or contract costing. It's becoming more and more difficult for fleets to absorb that or to pass it along, so they end up absorbing it. So it's certainly a challenge that we would like to see addressed in the short term.
You mentioned that margins are razor thin, so there really isn't anything that can be done other than passing it on and making life more expensive for Canadians. Is that fair to say?
Margins are extremely thin. It's an extremely competitive business, high volume, low margin. It is a challenge.
Right. So you recommend that this tax be scrapped?
At a minimum, pause it for 4 years. Until we can get a handle on whether or not we have alternative fuel sources or power propulsion sources in the long term. But no, ideally the tax goes away.
Yeah, you've mentioned that no such propulsion systems exist for long haul trucking. That's correct?
So diesel is king right now. There are a host of propulsion systems being looked at, but by no means is it anywhere close to being ready for the road or ready to replace diesel. So again, we are doing everything we can from an industry's perspective in supporting that research and trying everything. There's no silver bullet in the alternative propulsion right now, but again, we're supportive of that. It's our, as good corporate citizens, we want to do the right thing for the environment, lower our carbon footprint, lower our GHG emissions. But right now, the technology just isn't there. And we're gonna need some more time to figure this out, and again, hence our concern with the rationale for the carbon tax.
Yeah, well, thanks for pointing that part out. I mean, I guess it's fair to say that you don't burn diesel in trucks just because you like the smell. I mean, it's a lack of an alternative. You have tremendous incentive in your industry to discover new, more efficient, less emitting sources of propulsion, but until then, they don't exist. In the meantime, you have a cost that is that's being piled onto a low margin business and being passed on to consumers that are increasingly unable to pay the cost. Is that a fair summary?
Correct.
Yeah. Now, the federal government has 2 carbon taxes. They call the second one a clean fuel standard, but it is really another tax. How does that affect your business in your industry?
I'm not the expert in that area, sir, but it certainly it would have an impact. We've been having a number of discussions with Environment Climate Change Canada on that, and I'd I can get you some more info as follow up, sir.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because this is also another tax that paints you into a corner where there are no alternatives for long haul delivery, and so you don't have a choice. You just have to pay it and pass it on to everybody in the supply chain to the point where that it reaches consumers. So, what? Tell us about the end users in your industry. I mean, it's food, groceries is a huge one. Are there a number? Can you maybe list some of the consumer impacts on the cost of trucking?
So trucking touches everything that you have, eat, touch, buy. It's trucking is integral to the Canadian supply chain and bringing Canadians and their businesses everything they need. It's critical. It's integral. Hopefully that answers the question. I can't. It's everything.
Okay, thank you.